our value system here at Alsana is something that feels deeply important to us and was really rooted in a practice of listening to colleagues in the field, friends, our team members, our own hearts and selves, and considering what's really needed in the world, I'd say. Not just in eating disorder treatment. I think that's our way in the work that we do, but to create something that is really needed in the world has to have a value system that's magnetic, that really pulls people in, that say, yes, that's something I want to be a part of, and also is powerful enough to repel some folks that say that's actually not for me, and that's okay if it's not right for you. So our value system, I like to think in a magnetic way, because it kind of pulls and repels. And I feel that it's a practice. It's something that we have to show up and do. And some days that's easy to do, and some days the values are hard to practice, and that's okay too, right? But it's that evolving practice of showing up and trying to embody them and call it out when we see it, and recognize when it's not present as well.
Yeah, our value system, as Jordan was saying, is really born out of us spending many months within the organization really leaning in and listening and really coming up with what we were seeing was happening, and also what we're really needing to see happen at our sites and within our teams. And so really it is not just how we show up with our clients, but how we show up with one another and how we approach this privileged work of getting to help clients heal from eating disorders. Our first value is clinical integrity, because that is really at the heart of what we do. Our way of living out our mission of being a source of hope and healing in the world is through clinical integrity with eating disorder clients and their loved ones and providers. And so that really means that we want to stay on top of the latest research, that we really want to hold ourselves to the highest standards, the best practices, that we're constantly reviewing how we do the treatment, and really listening to those who have come before us and those experts in the field who can help guide us and where to go next. So that one feels really essential to this work that we do, and then I think our other values really help to support that.
One of our other values is wholeheartedness, and when I think about that, for me, it's about bringing your full self to the work that we do, to the people that you work with, to the clients and their families that you serve, and not having to kind of put on a different set of values when you walk through that door, but being able to show up in your full personhood and have that be celebrated and valued and seen feels like a practice of wholeheartedness in relationships.
I think we, particularly with that value, feel so strongly about it because it's how we approach the work that we do. It's deeply meaningful and personal for us. We feel really passionate about it. And so we're thinking, alongside our leadership team about the values. Wholeheartedness is really, we want people in our organization who feel that same depth of meaning and purpose in this work, that really you feel so strongly about showing up to this, that you're super engaged and really bring your whole self to that experience of working with our clients and our teams.
And we have people that come and work with us that will say maybe a month in or a couple weeks in, they'll say something like, I've never had a work environment like this before, or I've never felt like this was allowed. This part of me, or that I could show weakness, or I need help in this area, or I'm struggling here. And I think that's profound, that our world, when we're in even a healing profession, says that's not welcome, right? Like that part of you or your full self isn't welcome here. And of course there's professionalism and we show up in that way, but we really want to know you. And we want you to know us and to be in relationship. And I think that being known and being seen is incredibly powerful, and something that we want to model for people that come to us for help with eating disorders.
For sure. I think we really want to be congruent of what we are teaching our clients and holding space for them. We want to also show up in that same way. So if we're really touting that vulnerability is key to healing and to being a whole person in the world, then we also have to be able to show up that way and be willing to be vulnerable as well. And here at Alsana, we invite people to show up authentically and vulnerably and really think that that is the key to real treatment, real healing, and real relationships. Our third value is mutual respect, and that one feels just foundational in an organization. We feel that it would not be a healthy organization if we didn't really champion having mutual respect for each other as team members, for our clients that we're serving, for anyone really who comes in contact with the organization. It's the language that we use, it's the holding space for one another, it is allowing people to show up as they are and really respecting their unique individuality. It is respecting time and space and our facilities themselves. I mean, respect is just really key to feeling like a safe environment, I think.
Yeah, and there can be a lot of things that come up in a work environment, right? Two people working on the same project or same goal, but maybe there's some sort of needs that sometimes have friction, right, between the two departments, or working with clients. And I'm not a clinician in the room, but I'm sure there could be really challenging moments with families and with clients that could be activating for you as a person. And so how do you practice mutual respect in those relationships so that you can understand what's happening for the other person, what's happening for you, and we can work forward together? I think it has to be grounded in that. Otherwise, I've been in environments before where it becomes almost competitive or sabotagey, or people are just not, moving in the same direction because they don't feel that they're being respected. So now I have to compete for it, or I have to make sure I get what I need or I want. And so it's important, I think, that we practice it every day, especially when it's hard.
Yeah, I think to Jordan's point, it's really important for us that all of the departments know each other and understand that we're working together, that it's not an us versus them, that we all serve a really important part of the process, and we all have really important roles and functions, and so it's really a working together in tandem, a partnership, that we respect each person's perspective, even if it's different from your own, understanding that we're working towards the same goal. And so going back to with the values, we have to call it out when it's not happening. There's a way to have really respectful disagreements and really talk through things in a respectful way when you're not seeing eye to eye. And that's really an opportunity for growth and to know people on a deeper level. And so that is something that I think we continually are looking at and talking about and have an opportunity to always be evolving and growing in.
And something I want to say for this video, for those that are watching that are new to the organization, is all of our values to me feel like we're all working on them together. It's all a practice. We don't get it right every single time. And my perspective on it is, especially with this one, like if for me, if there's like someone who's really great at their work and great at their job or performing at a really high level, but there's not a respect there for the people around them or the clients they serve, and there's just a lot of behavior like that, that's just something that is incongruent with how we want to be. And so those folks will be asked to move on. And I think that they'll find a place that works for them, or perhaps do that next phase, and we'll always lean in and have those hard conversations and help people grow and develop. But I think hopefully everyone watching this knows what I mean by that, is like people who continue to practice a disrespectful way of being in their life, to me feels like folks that are going to have a hard time being here.
Our next value is thoughtful engagement. And what that really means is that we are curious about one another, that we really seek to understand before we act. So it's really about responding versus reacting, and taking time to understand a person's perspective and where they're coming from, and that we really also are fully present and engaged in our experience at work, that we really show up and we're in the present moment, and we are taking time to engage with one another. And for clinicians, I feel really strongly about this. Thoughtful engagement means that you are in the milieu with clients, you're at the table, you're eating with them, that so much of the treatment experience and the real work of healing happens in those moments that are outside of the therapy rooms, outside of the group rooms. And so for me, thoughtful engagement is something I feel really passionate about, and it's how I want to approach this work. It's how I really try to go about approaching this work, and what I want to inspire each of you to do as well, whether you are on site or you're in a supportive department, that thinking about how you are engaged in this experience.
Something that's really interesting about the position that I get to hold is that it can be very tempting to work from a space that's more hierarchical, of like, do this, do that, I know what's the best path. You know, like this position inherently has that, you know, ability to do that just by nature of being in a CEO role. But for me, the way thoughtful engagement shows up is I actually want to listen to the minds in the room that know more than I do about certain areas, right? And how can I bring people together at a table and say, this is the problem that we have, or this is the project that we're working on, or this is the goal we're reaching towards, and let's engage with it together, and let's really understand the different perspectives and experience and wisdom in the room. And in my experience, that more collaborative approach, and where it is thoughtful and takes engagement from everybody, because that doesn't always mean we agree on everything. But what comes out of that is remarkable work. And I would say that the best work comes out of that environment, because it's all of us together engaging with it versus just me sitting in a tower alone. That's not how I want to lead, and that I wouldn't want to be led by someone in that structure, and I wouldn't want to lead in that way. So for me, thoughtful engagement feels really powerful when it's modeled from executive leadership, because it changes how we work together and how we show up.
It's the benefit of being on a team, right? Instead of solo individual work, which actually can be really lonely and echo chamber-ish. And thoughtful engagement is that I'm really going to have the benefit of team members that have my back and I have their back, and we can help each other, hold each other accountable, inspire one another, and really help each other grow in whatever our role is or what our aspired role is. And so I think that we have this great honor to get to be a team together and think about what is my part on that team. Our last value is rooted reliability. And really what that means is that we are consistent and dependable, and you know what you're gonna get. And for me, when I think about that, it's on a couple of different levels. One is that how I show up every day is going to be consistent. And so you know that I'm going to show up in the same way, and that you can rely on me to do my job and to be there for you in the ways that I can be there for you, and that I'm just always readily available and dependable and those kinds of things. And then it also means that across our sites that you can depend on the care that we provide to be consistent. And so that really is where that consistent oversight comes in, and that I really want to be a presence. And I know our VP of Clinical, Mary Elizabeth, wants to be present, and Kat Jordan and other people in our organizations, and they travel around, and we're there so that you know that we're going to have a presence, and that we can also help ensure that the consistency across our clinical model is always there. And that really helps the people in the field to know that they can trust us, right? Because we are going to deliver the care that we say that we're going to deliver. It's not just lip service, it's not just in words, but it's in action, and it's in consistent action and consistent quality of care. And so for me, that is really important, is how we show up, and that we continually show up in the same way.
Yeah, so we did this experience as an executive team recently where every person got to sit in like this hot seat in the middle and receive, what do we call it, word flowers. And the idea was writing down words, because our concept is you deserve flowers, and writing down what we experienced from the other person, and then they got to read that. It was a really powerful experience. I would encourage you to do it with your team. What I was struck by was somebody wrote the word true on one of mine, and it's like, that's what I want to be. I want to be true. I want to be a person that is consistent, is accountable, who shows up in the flawed moments consistently as well, and is aware of those and able to say, like, these are things I struggle with, and I'm true to myself in that, you know? I'm not pretending that those aren't real. So that way we can help each other and like come alongside each other and say, I know that this is something that you struggle with, or I struggle to book airplane tickets. Like, you know, it's a real big struggle of mine. And so like, and that's kind of just a funny one, but I think hopefully you see the point here is rooted reliability has to do a lot with the consistency that we want in our clinical programs, so that people know what they're going to get when they refer, and there's trust there. And I think it's also a way of interacting with each other and being where we're just true to ourselves and true to each other in honest ways. So it feels really, I love that we put rooted in front of it, because it feels very grounding, it feels very connected when we practice that way of being a human.
And another part of the verbiage that we use very intentionally is steady in our actions. And for me, that's also really being thoughtful about the words that we use and the behaviors that we choose, so that there isn't reactivity and volatility. You know, we really do aim to be a safe space and a brave space for people, and that starts from, you know, the top down of really making sure that we show up in that way that allows people to feel safe, and that they can actually root into their time at Alsana, because it is a place where you can feel grounded and you can grow.
Yeah, and that's why the authenticity part, the wholeheartedness and the mutual respect feels so important to me as values, because I've heard this before sometimes from well-intended people. They'll maybe create pain or create hurt or show up in a way that, look, we all make mistakes, but what I mean is like consistently showing up this way. I'm like, well, I'm just being authentic, or I'm just being wholehearted. And it's like, okay, well, there's also this component of, we're part of a root system here, and we're connected to each other, and like you're creating community, organization, or hurt, right? And so I think it's important that both those things are true. Like, we want to show up fully, and sometimes that means we're going to show up stressed or make a mistake or hurt somebody else, but it's also, we're part of that ecosystem and that community in a rooted way, you know, and we want to be true to what matters, which is that mutual respect with each other.